Okay, we're going to be talking about what commonly goes wrong with behavior change. And everything we're going to be talking about today is from BJ Fogg. He's a professor at Stanford University, and he's kind of one of the leading experts on behavior change and exactly what needs to be done in order to be successful with behavior change. So he has this model. He's taken all of the research on changing behavior and broken it down and simplified it into this model called B equals MAT. And so what B equals MAT is B stands for behavior, M stands for motivation, A is ability, T is the trigger. So basically he's saying that behavior only happens when you have all three of those things: motivation, ability, and the trigger all at once. So an example of this would be a simple behavior is answering the phone. This applies to any behavior you can think of. So simple behavior of just answering the phone. And if we think the phone rang and I didn't answer it because I didn't want to. You know, I saw who was calling, I didn't want to talk to them. So if the motivation isn't there, the behavior doesn't happen, we don't answer the phone. Another thing would be the phone rang and I didn't answer it because I couldn't. I just did not have the ability. I was already doing something, I couldn't reach the phone, so I didn't answer it. So if ability is not there, then we're obviously not going to answer the phone. And then how many times have we been waiting for a phone call, wanting to talk to somebody, and the phone rings, and, well, it gives us a little buzz, it goes bzz, and we reach out, pull it out of our pocket, and we're like, what the heck? Voicemail? I was waiting for that phone call, but the phone never actually rang. So if the trigger didn't happen, then we don't do it either. So once again, you need to have motivation, ability, and trigger in order for a behavior to happen. So he's kind of listed out this chart to be able to teach us how behavior actually happens. And what it basically is saying is we have motivation on this scale: high motivation, lower motivation. Ability on the scale: easy to do, hard to do the behavior. So basically what it's saying is if we have like almost no motivation to do something and it's really hard to do what we're trying to do, it's probably not going to happen. But if we have high motivation and it's really easy to do what we're wanting to do, it's probably going to happen. And so what he's found is there's a relationship that looks just like this. That when you have certain amounts of motivation and it's easy to do for you, or you have the skills and the ability to do that, then anything on this side, the behavior will happen as long as there's a trigger. But if it's anywhere in here, it's not going to happen. And too often, what ends up happening is when people think, okay, health-wise, I'm going to make a change, I'm going to start exercising, I'm going to start eating fruits and veggies, I'm going to get rid of sugar, all this stuff, they immediately go to things that are extremely hard to do for them in that moment. It might have been easy at one point in their life, but for now, they haven't been doing that at all. They haven't been exercising, they haven't been eating that well, and they want to change everything all at once. So they go to something that's really hard to do, they have high motivation, but if it's too hard to do, it's not going to happen. Now, if they just back off, and what he says is, too often we rely on motivation. And motivation's fickle. It doesn't always last. It's going to come and go. And so if you had, let's say, something that wasn't insanely hard to do, and you were doing it, the second you have a bad day, and just really rough time at work or anything where something doesn't go your way and your motivation, you just like waste it when you get home, you don't want to cook a healthy meal, then once that motivation drops, you're no longer doing that behavior. And once you no longer do it, you get frustrated and you start to get down on yourself, thus leading to even less motivation and not doing it. And so no success. So what he says, instead of relying on motivation all the time, if you're down here low on motivation, just make the behavior easier. And then it still happens. So if you get home and you're kind of wasted and you think, man, I do not have it in me to make a nice healthy meal. Well, if you would have made a couple healthy meals beforehand and had them in the freezer, that's pretty easy to do. All you have to do is just pop it in the microwave or in the oven, and boom, you have a healthy meal. Or just pull it out of the fridge if it's waiting in there for you that you already prepped for you. It's easy to do. So once again, what he says is stop relying so much on motivation and instead just make it easier. So if we are consistently frustrated, if that's something that's happening, we're frustrated with ourselves, we're kind of beating ourselves up for not doing what we're trying to do, then we can pretty much guarantee we're right here. We really want to do it, but it's just not happening. We keep failing. And he said this infinitely goes up. No matter how much motivation you have, if you're trying something that's just too hard, it's not going to happen. So if you're frustrated, you're probably trying things that are too hard, and all you need to do is just make it easier. Simplify those steps. Don't have to work out so hard. Do something at home. Just go for a walk around the neighborhood. You don't have to follow some crazy program. Just make it easier and get into consistent habit of doing it. Then as you get better and better and continue to be consistent, you can slowly increase the difficulty because your ability is going to get better. But if you're just consistently annoyed with messages from the Wellness Center and you're like, delete, 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 then you're probably right here. You just don't care. And so it doesn't matter how easy we make the steps for you. If you're still annoyed with it, then that means you just don't have any desire whatsoever. And if you don't have desire, it's just not going to happen. So doing anything you can to kick that up, or just wait until maybe a life thing happens, and then you can slowly get a little bit more motivation. But the main thing with B equals MAT is we just need to make things easier. Or if we're trying to improve a behavior of, eating more vegetables, but we have no clue how to cook vegetables or anything like that, maybe our line, instead of being here, would be over here. So something that would be fairly easy for somebody else, if they have the skills to be able to make vegetables, might be outside of our area. So by us learning new skills, it allows us to push this over. So something that wouldn't have happened before right here now is something that will happen because we now know how to make some healthy vegetables that we actually enjoy and that taste good. So key is make it easier. If you're struggling, just make it easier. And then increase your ability, gain some skills with healthy behaviors, learn how to cook some healthy things, do whatever you can to increase your ability so that this line can come over. So people are just starting out, their line's probably here, just make it super easy, easier than you would think. And then continue to be consistent with the easy, and you'll find as you gain more and more skills, this comes over and you can get to this hard thing. But if you're just consistently frustrated, you're just trying things that are just too hard with your current schedule, with what's going on in your life right now. So make it easy.